Looks like we're live on Facebook. We will be starting here shortly. Make sure you have a
We
drink.
are live. Pat, go right ahead.
Oh, hey. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Town Square Talk. I am Pat Albuquerque,
And this is Pearl Pang.
and we are here to share some goodies with you. If you are joining us for the very first time, we want to give you a little bit of history of how we came to be. Pearl and I have been friends for quite a while, and we mastermind quite a bit. And we were talking about the issues and concerns that we had about COVID-19 and how we were being affected personally in our businesses, in our lives, and also with our friends and family. And we said we can either lean into what's happening to the situation, or we're going to lean back and just watch things happen in front of us. And we said we wanted to make a difference. So as we mastermind this show, we decided that we wanted to bring in specialists of different areas in health, in wellness, entrepreneurship, and career, and bring to you their wisdom, mastermind ideas, tools, and techniques that would move you forward in your life and in your business during this time. So as I said, Pat, Pearl and I have known each other for a long time, and we actually go back to our IBM days. And Pearl, where are you, my dear? There you go.
All right. Yes, Pat and I bring over 6 years of corporate experience and over 20 years of entrepreneurial experience combined. And we are both trained healers, and we're here to open the space to mastermind with you.
Yes.
I work with visionary and authentic C-suite executives, business owners, entrepreneurs, and professionals who are engaged in their personal awakening and are seeking to achieve and enjoy higher level outcomes in their personal lives and careers in new, perhaps unconventional and innovative ways. And as Pat mentioned, we wanted to bring us to you, and you can find more about me and my work at benchmarkmaven.com. Pat?
And I work with women entrepreneurs who have real estate and IT-based service companies who are looking for clarity in scaling their business so that they can make a greater impact in the world, enjoy more time and financial freedom, and create a life that they love. You can learn more about me and my services at majesticcoachinggroup.com. And today we are going to talk about the magic of hypnotherapy. And I got to
Yes.
say, Pearl, that I am pretty new at this area, but I know that you know a lot.
Well, I have done quite some research and study into this area, and that's kind of how I got to know Sheris, our guest speaker today. So we all know, when we started to learn that our brain is pretty plastic, if you will. This is why you probably have heard of the term neuroplasticity. So basically what that means is our brain can be reorganized, and our thinking pattern and our thoughts can be changed over time, contrary to the old thinking about, cannot teach an old dog new tricks. So as we learn, we found out in the past decade or two, there have been quite some discoveries of the brain changes. And what happens is that we have what they call the neurogenesis, meaning our new brain cells can recreate in certain areas. And yet we are wired very differently. Still, we share quite some similarities, meaning if we get to build the new neural pathways, they called, because of our habits and our past experiences, either taught by our parents or because the environment or teacher, schooling, and so on, even subconsciously, when we just take in informations, the subconscious mind, you probably have heard, versus the conscious mind, it doesn't quite distinguish real or not. This is why we dream and we get so scared and so on. So as we understand that more and more, there are really good ways and modality to make those changes happen even hopefully less painful for some people. And hypnotherapy is definitely one of those ways that, you know, we wanted to have people to at least understand better what that means and whether that can be applicable to them. So talking about neuroplasticity, it can be changed also, not just by learning, by also trauma or even meditation. Diet and exercises, as well as learning and, you know, creating new things. So that means when you create engaging new activities and new skills, you are creating the new places in your brains that were, you know, quite perhaps uncomfortable. So this is why change is kind of hard for people to kind of take on. So with help of modalities, therapies and ways such as hypnotherapy, people can get guided to make that changes so much easier than trying to do them on their own. So hence we have Cheris here to kind of talk to us about what that means and how that can work for you guys. So folks, please start to think about your questions and what you would like to ask Cheris. And go ahead, Pat, please give us a grand introduction of our guest speaker, Cheris.
We're so honored to have you with us, Cheris, and I've got to brag on her, right? So Cheris Cartier-Shank is a certified clinical hypnotherapist who helps clients tap into their subconscious mind so they can overcome stubborn obstacles, realize their true worth, and create the life that they love. Specializing in emotional healing, performance breakthrough, and past life regression, Cheris works with people from all kinds of walks of life who are stuck in a problem that they can't resolve. Cheris discovered hypnotherapy after a medical crisis of 18 months. And it ended a long and celebrated career as an award-winning gem artist. And you see that you see that beautiful gem right by me. And the history behind that is this gem is actually at the Smithsonian Museum of Natural History. So we've got somebody famous here. And so she needed to reinvent herself and find a new path. As an artist, you and I know that we are passionate in the work. And so Cheris was very passionate about the transformation from taking a gem in the raw and turning it and showing its beauty. And she took this same passion and passion for transformation and started working with clients, helping them find their own transformation and personal internal beauty. She combines her intuitive coaching with hypnosis, and Cheris serves all her clients, both online and in person. So Cheris, welcome to the show. And I've got to say that as I was discussing this with many of my friends, one of the questions that came up was, what's the difference between hypnosis and hypnotherapy?
Well, the hypnosis can be used both in hypnotherapy or there is stage hypnosis. So hypnotherapy identifies the use of hypnosis. Stage hypnotists are there to entertain. I'm here to heal.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And so why hypnotherapy?
Well, when I was laying in the hospital, during that crisis period, and realized that I really had to change my life, I started perusing the internet just out of boredom, and I stumbled on some articles on hypnosis. And I realized, if I had had access to hypnosis when I was in the hospital, things would have been much smoother. So I just kept reading about it and reading about it and reading about it. And eventually I thought, I have to learn this. And I was lucky enough to find the only state licensed school in Michigan that teaches hypnotherapy 45 minutes from my house.
Wow, that was pretty convenient.
Yeah.
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 So
That
you
was a
used your
gift.
time wisely and it piqued an interest.
Well, considering I'd flown all over the country in my GEM career, 45 minutes from my house was like, you're kidding.
Yeah.
I can drive. I can sleep in my own house.
I get that. Yeah. Awesome.
And, I realized that for some people, hypnosis is just a complete unknown,
Mhm.
but it's actually a very natural state of mind. And it's the way that you can collaborate with your unconscious mind. And that's the real secret. I do not know another modality that gives you direct access to your subconscious mind. And the reason that's important is because that's where our fears are, that's where our beliefs are, that's where all the barriers that are holding us back live. So trying to reconcile those barriers with our conscious mind is a very frustrating effort. Why not go to the source?
That sounds really, really interesting, Sheris. I personally had been in hypnosis one time. It wasn't in person, it was more indirect. It was like an online experience. And I noticed I didn't quite lose my consciousness, if you will. So I wonder, with that experience at hand, does it work for everybody? And if so, how does it vary? Is there any particular people who would work better than others?
Well, I'd first like to respond to you didn't quite lose your consciousness. You don't.
Okay,
So,
cool.
so,
See,
so
that's what I didn't know.
No, hypnosis means that your subconscious mind is dominant, but your conscious mind is still there and watching and observing. It's just not dominant. In our normal walking around day-to-day life, our conscious mind is dominant and our subconscious mind is behind the scenes watching everything. Okay, so it's just reversed. So
I think
that was totally normal.
Okay, so probably the misconception on my part, thinking when people demonstrate hypnosis, it appears that the person who got hypnotized was basically told to do whatever they were doing. But if they have the consciousness, for me, it was just like they probably lost the consciousness. That's why they were doing it.
No loss of conscious mind. No.
Got it.
If you're referring to stage hypnosis, that's entertainment. And the people who volunteer for that like that.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I think that's why I have the misconception.
Yeah, so their conscious mind's not going to object. They like it. There's not a chance in the world you'd get me up on that stage. And I'm a hypnotherapist.
Exactly why I'm asking you this question, because that's what I thought it was.
Yeah. So
okay, cool. Good to know.
And another thing that I'd like people to know is that all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. You are simply allowing me to be your guide.
That was probably a big realization for a lot of people on this call.
Yes.
Because for the longest time till just now, I thought for really getting the benefit, you gotta sort of pass out or lose consciousness so that you can really work on the subconscious mind. So I was wrong. So thank you for clarifying that for me.
No need to pass out. Some people go into a light trance. Some people go into a deep trance. They're all effective. They all work. It's simply a matter of, can we talk to your subconscious mind? That's all it is.
Wow. So who should consider hypnotherapy?
What did you say?
Who should consider?
Who should consider hypnotherapy? Well, let me go back to Pearl's question and then come to this. In terms of the population who is hypnotizable.
Mhm.
The general rule of thumb is that if you take 100% of the population, there's going to be 10% on this end that are hyper available to hypnotherapy or hypnosis.
Mhm.
And there's going to be 10% on this side that are going to resist no matter what,
Oh, okay.
which comes down to they do not want to be hypnotized. So they won't.
Mhm.
And then there's 80% in the middle, and people, it's kind of a continuum. Some people will go deep, some people will go shallow. The secret is, do you want it?
Yeah.
If you want to be hypnotized and you're willing to relax, then you can be hypnotized. And you trust the person you're working with, of course.
Of course. Yeah.
That's the biggest part.
That's,
Yes.
I think that I agree with you, Pearl. That's the biggest part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So resonating with your guide, trusting your guide is essential. And I think another thing that a lot of people don't know is that no one will do anything under hypnosis that violates their core values.
There you go.
No one. I cannot make somebody go out and do something that their core value says is evil. And neither can any other hypnotherapist. So, you know, when people realize it's all self-hypnosis, you're just using a guide, an educated, skilled guide, and you will never do anything that violates your core values. I think people can start to understand that this is not a process of losing control. This is a process of taking control.
I love the way you put that, because I'm sure there are some viewers who are who have thought about having hypnotherapy but had questions because they didn't really understand. And I think, excuse me, the fact that you said that they make the choice.
Yes.
It makes all the difference.
Yes. And one of the reasons that I in my practice, I combine mindful coaching with the hypnosis is because I want to make sure that we are dealing with the issue at its core level. And the only way to get to that is through gentle questions and answers, so that I can say that there it is. That's the thread. That's what we need to deal with. So for me, the mindful coaching is essential to go with the hypnosis because it puts you in charge.
It's a perfect combination, really.
I love it.
And then the fact that you're intuitive is, is even that's a gift to the conversation and that experience with people.
And it's another reason why you have to resonate with your hypnotherapist. You have to be willing to say, this is my real problem.
Well, now that we're talking about, go ahead, Pearl.
Go ahead, Pat.
Now that you're talking about problems, you actually have 3 specialties, right? And we want to jump into those specialties.
Okay.
And have you, tell us a little bit more, about those.
Okay. So I have 3 specialties. One is emotional healing, and this is way more than 50% of my practice. The other is performance breakthrough, which is helping people break through barriers to achieve a goal they've been trying to achieve and not been successful at. And the third one is past life soul regression. So you want me to talk about emotional healing?
Yes, let's start with the first one.
Okay.
And give us some examples.
Okay, so for emotional healing, people come for all kinds of things: depression, anxiety, resentment, anger, impatience. Sometimes they're just plain lost. And what's required when we're dealing with that is to find out where their issue began. And we can actually do that in hypnotherapy without a lot of trouble. It's actually pretty quick. We can, relax to the point that we've gone into trance. And then we can say to the subconscious mind, when did this start? So when did this desire to avoid something start? And you'll generally get an answer. But the subconscious mind does not speak in the way that we speak in our conscious minds. The subconscious mind speaks in images, metaphors, symbols, feelings, and sensations. So it might give you an image. Wow. And that image will have meaning to you. Mm-hmm. And then we can trace that back and find out, oh, here's where the problem started. And then we can ask the subconscious mind, does this problem serve any worthwhile purpose?
It's an interesting question.
Yeah, yes or no.
Yeah.
And, so it's a matter of following that path. And then for some people, let's take anxiety. That's a big one.
Mm-hmm. Especially now.
Yeah, anxiety is a very big one. Yeah. Well, there's always a reason for the anxiety, but we may not be aware of it because we're simply reacting to the stimulus from our subconscious mind. So we can start to trace back to, okay, when were you feeling the most anxious? What was happening then? And then we start to ask questions and draw out the subconscious mind. And then we can find the basic fear or the basic belief that is driving that anxiety. Wow. There is some fear or some belief in your subconscious mind that is driving that anxiety. And then we can say, does this belief serve any worthwhile purpose in the present moment? You might get yes, you might get no. And depending on the answer, then you follow those cues.
Now, is there a certain amount of time that it takes to actually go through, let's say, if somebody comes and sees you with anxiety, or is the number of sessions, it just depends on the person?
It totally depends on the person. So, for instance, I had a woman come to me who was in overwhelming anxiety. I spoke to her on the phone, but the day she walked into my office for the first time, she was already crying. And she was in such overwhelming anxiety from the moment she sat down in the chair. She was just talking a million miles a minute. I mean, I could barely grab the words. She was talking so fast. And I finally had to say, stop talking. And she kind of looked at me like that. And I said, close your eyes. And we did 5 minutes of very structured breathing just to get her off the runaway train of anxiety. Because there was nothing she was going to do in that state of mind. When you're in anxiety that's high, your thinking mind shuts off. It's not even available to you. So first we had to relax her. And then we did the whole rest of the session. Exactly what are you anxious about? Let's look at your alternatives. She picks an alternative. We rehearsed the alternative she picked hypnotically so that her subconscious mind knew exactly what she wanted to do. We went over it and over it and over it. This is how she was going to deal with the issue. Practiced, bring her out, She feels 1,000% better. She resolves her situation the next day. Now, other people, it's many layered. It's not a single thing. So you try to find the one that carries the biggest emotional load.
Mm-hmm.
Work with that one first, and then kind of work your way up.
Mm. I'm most curious about performance breakthrough, honestly.
Okay.
So this is fascinating about
It is.
emotional changes.
Right.
I think I probably would have done better with this years back when I had to go through some of the big life changes.
Right.
My father's passing, for one, and a couple others.
Yeah.
Could probably have been helping me to get through the processing much
Right.
faster.
Well, grief
From what
is a
I
whole
understand.
different thing. And I'll tell you, Pearl, grief is something that you have to treat with respect, permission, and patience.
Thank you. Yeah. Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
people grieve at their own rate.
Mm.
And if they are not ready to take a certain step, then
Yes.
what they need is reassurance and acceptance. So it's a very delicate emotion. And there is no one person who grieves the way somebody else does. But the performance breakthrough is for anyone who has a specific goal that they have tried to reach numerous ways, and no matter what they do, they can't quite seem to get there. And so what we do is we eliminate their barriers. We do mindset training, and we educate their subconscious mind as to what the new thought patterns are going to be and what we envision will happen. And the beauty of this program is it's a 3-session program. Wow. And it's very structured. It's very structured, and it'll work for numerous occupations, or musicians, business people, performers, doctors, students.
Wow. Cool.
It's all the same. It just gets tailored to their particular situation.
Interesting. Well, we've covered a lot of interesting information and topics. Pearl, do we have any questions from our viewers as of yet?
So far, I don't see any questions at this point. Just double check here. Yeah, we can keep going. Yes, thanks for reminding me.
So have you had an example? Do you have an example of the performance breakthrough?
Oh, well, I have several, but here, let me see if I can find this. I was working with a resident doctor who is an excellent surgeon, and he's, I think, very close to finishing his residency. And part of being a resident doctor is you have to take I think it's yearly exams. And these are really big exams, and they're very important in you making it through residency and becoming, the doctor that goes off and practices. So his problem was that there was a lot of things that the exams tested that didn't interest him. And so he wouldn't study them. And he could not keep himself studying on a regular basis so that he could go to this exam and, pass it in flying colors. And because of that, his anxiety was through the roof. And his supervisors were leaning on him, and he was under a lot of pressure to do well on this exam. So we went through the whole performance breakthrough program, and we did all of the mindset training, and he learned how to calm himself. I taught him self-hypnosis. He learned how to change his thoughts. He learned how to let his subconscious mind know what he expected to happen. And as a result, he could put himself in self-hypnosis and study for hours without a break. And he was able to do that every day. He'd come home from the hospital, he'd do his self-hypnosis, and he could just study for hours. And after he took the exam, I want to read this to you. He sent me a text. Let me see, I can't quite find it. Anyway, he sent me a text, and what he basically said is, I walked into the exam, I calmed myself down, I started working, I worked right through it, answers just popped into my head, I finished 45 minutes early. You know, and he was on just cloud nine. He was like, you know, when I originally talked to him, his goal was really low. And I said, no way, that's not going to be your goal. No, you got to shoot way higher than that. And he ended up saying, I want to rock this exam. And that's what he did.
Wow, what a story.
You got to set your goal high enough.
Of course.
Got it. That's interesting. I can actually think of quite a few different sort of new skills and reskilling from a business perspective, even for new managers when they get promoted to a new roles that would require different skills. Sometimes it create quite some anxiety, and I can see the performance breakthrough. Perhaps again.
You know, it's really invaluable, I think, because it teaches you skills that you can use everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, once you have the skills, right? It's
right.
like, oh,
absolutely.
I can use them on this, and I can use them on this, and
So we do have a couple questions from the viewers. The first question is from Rob, and the question is, how does this relate to or intersect with psychotherapy?
Psychotherapy. Well, psychotherapy is basically therapy that's based in the conscious mind. So that would be similar to my mindful coaching, right? And there are many techniques within psychotherapy, and different psychotherapists use various modalities. What they have in common is that they are dealing with the conscious mind. The great gift of hypnotherapy is that we get to go to the source. We get to actually talk and collaborate with the subconscious mind and get the subconscious mind and the conscious mind on the same page.
So it sounds like without this, if you just work on conscious mind, it appears that you really not addressing the root cause.
I think it just takes longer.
Source, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've had 20 years of psychotherapy. You know, I had nothing bad to say about psychotherapy. It really, really helped me. I've done years of spiritual coaching. All of that is useful. I have nothing bad to say about any of that. But from my point of view, as someone who really wants to help people quickly, the fastest route I know is to talk directly to the subconscious mind.
Yeah, I would. It makes a lot of sense to me.
That's a good question, by the way.
Yeah, it was. Thanks,
Very good
Rob,
question.
for asking the question.
Yeah, thank you.
So tell us about the third specialty. I am so dying to figure out this past life thing. Is, you know, sometimes for me, it's, you know, of course, there's always no proof and so on. So, but I love to talk about it. So tell us more how you do it, please.
Okay. So a past life soul regression is, I only do them in certain circumstances. I never do this for entertainment. This is not
Sure.
about entertainment. I
Yeah,
have had
no.
people call me and say, I had a tarot card reading and she said I had such and such a past life and I'd like to see it. And I just said, I'm sorry, I can't do that for you. That's not how it works.
So what does set up the environment for actually going into this specialty?
Say that again?
What environment would set up the conversation saying, why don't we go ahead and do past life regression?
Okay. So a past life soul regression is a healing modality. And so I do it when the person comes to me and says, I have this issue. It's always here. It never goes away. I have tried and tried everything I can think of to work with this issue. I can't find a reason for it. So then I think it's a good time to consider a past life soul regression because maybe it comes from another lifetime. And I learned this particular modality from a psychologist in Colorado. And when I did my first past life soul regression with her, I was able to eliminate this feeling of not being safe that never went away. I had no reason for it, but I felt physically not safe. And it wasn't connected to anything specifically. It wasn't a time or place or person. It just was there. And I was able to release that. And that was a tremendous gift.
Yes, I can imagine.
So that's what we're looking for in a past life soul regression. I've had people come, I had a woman come to me and she said, I just have this thing about orphans and somehow it's tied to money and I don't get it. So we were able to go back to a life where she was basically orphaned without money. And that was the lingering problem that kept rising up in her. So when she went through that past life, so it's a past life, you die. Everybody good with that? You're currently in this body, so you're not in that body. So you always die. It's a past life. Some people are shocked by this. So the great thing for me is that you go into the life, you attach to it just long enough that you can get the lesson. Then you detach. That person dies and rises up and meets their spirit guides who have the wisdom they need to hear to resolve anything that's lingering.
Wow, beautiful.
And it's just a profound
that
experience, but it's not for everybody.
Give us an example, please, that you have worked with.
Yes.
Well,
so let me see, what's the most recent?
Besides this woman you were just talking about, the orphan situation without money.
Well,
another example.
I had a woman who had a fear that something terrible was going to happen. And she didn't know why. She just had this sort of ominous foreboding. Something really, really bad is going to happen. And so the life that she went back to, she was a very, very young child. She was probably 3-ish. She was still only in what looked to her like diapers, but it was such a long time ago that it was some kind of cloth. And she was playing with her brother on the edge of a cliff. and her brother pushed her
Oh my gosh.
just in play, not realizing the damage. I mean, they're children. And she went over the edge of the cliff and she died.
Wow.
And the part that was lingering was her mother's grief, because her mother was so grief-stricken by this. And that's what was lingering in her.
Within her.
And she needed to be released from the feeling of guilt that she caused this grief. And then the sense of foreboding went away.
Wow. What an interesting story.
Yeah, it is so profound.
Well, everything that you do is profound. The emotional
It's just
healing,
so fascinating.
the performance, the performance breakthrough, and the soul in this past life regression.
Past life soul regression. Yeah.
So I know that there are some people that are they're interested. They want to know more, and so, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, my phone number.
Before we get there, please, I think we wanted to have a demonstration, right? Our experiencing on how it works, right? I mean, do you want to do that first?
Yeah, why not?
Sure.
I am so sorry, Pat. I got this order. You were right. I apologize, but I'd like to do the demo first, if we can.
That's fine.
Please.
It makes sense.
It all works for me. So I will just preface this by saying this is something I teach almost every client, not because I set out to do it, but because it seems to be something they need. And so this is a very short process on self-compassion. And I think what I will do is I will take you through it, and I will be asking you to close your eyes. And when I'm all done, the way that you'll know as I'm done is I will ring this.
Okay.
And then at that point, you can open your eyes and come back. Or if you're watching this and you've gone to a beautiful place, you can stay there. Okay?
So viewers, we invite you to join us for this practice that Cherise is going to take us through.
On self-compassion. And so I'm going to ask everyone to say their own name at a certain point in this. I'm going to use Pearl's name, but use your own name. Okay?
Okay.
All right, so close your eyes. Take 3 deep, smooth inhales and make your exhale the same length of time and equally smooth. All right. Now let your breath come back to a natural rhythm and pace. Even inhale, even exhale. Allow yourself to sense a spaciousness around you. Allow yourself to sense that there's nothing that you need to do. There's nothing that you need to say. There's nothing that will disturb or distract you. You are surrounded by spacious. Now, go into your inner mind and find a time when you were compassionate towards another person. Don't get too picky about this. Just find a time when you were compassionate towards another person and express that compassion. I'm going to trust that you have found that time. Move into the feelings that you were feeling at that time. Compassion is feeling someone else's feelings and desiring to help. So feel the feelings you were feeling at that time. The love, the desire to help, the wanting this person to feel better. When you find those feelings, ask your subconscious mind to grow them. Allow those feelings to expand until they fill up your entire mind. They fill your heart. They flow through your whole body. And then with your breath, expand those feelings into all of the energy layers around your body. With your inhale, feel them expanding beyond your physical body into all of the energy layers that surround you. With your exhale, allow them to come in a little bit. Feel and fill up any nooks or crannies where they weren't quite yet settled in your physical body. With your inhale, expand those feelings of compassion, love, desire to help, desire for the other person to feel better. Now, ask your subconscious mind to memorize this feeling of compassion and love and the desire to help. Memorize this feeling. And when you have that in your own mind, ask yourself this question: is it okay with me that I show myself compassion? I will assume your answer is yes. Put both hands over your heart center. This alone creates a flow of oxytocin and communicates that this is a heartfelt desire. Say to yourself, I love you, Pearl. Use your own name. I believe in you. You are a good person. I will be with you forever. And if there's something else you would like to say to yourself, say that now. And when you're ready, just come back into the room.
Mm.
Mm,
Wow.
it's wonderful.
So one of the reasons that's powerful is because it's so much easier for us to show compassion to another person.
Yes.
But when we grow that feeling first and memorize it, it's just easier to give to ourselves.
Mm. Yeah,
That's wonderful.
I can
I'm
see that.
floating. Yes.
Yes.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thank you, Shears.
And for those our viewers who just went through the experience, just feel free to
Share
share
your experience.
share
yes.
what you're feeling, your experiences. We'd love to hear from you.
Wow. Now we're going to have to share how viewers can find you.
Yeah.
Oh,
How do they find you?
That's right.
okay. Well, my website is birminghamclinicalhypnotherapy.com, and you can contact me there, either through the contact page or just write to share us at birminghamclinicalhypnotherapy.com.
Oops.
My telephone number is 248-842-7783. And I will be starting a Patreon page next week, which is patreon.com, hypnotic meditations, where you can access many of my both audio and video meditations, and even set up a 20-minute appointment with me for various subjects.
Wow. Thank you. What a beautiful gift.
Yes, thank you so much,
I
Shears.
appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Wow. I learned so much. And viewers, I hope you learned quite a bit about hypnotherapy and the wonderful results that you can get from hypnotherapy. And thank you again for coming. We have, for the next 3 weeks, just to share with our viewers, Pearl and I will be giving a session on our secrets to working from home. So as Pearl said, we have 60 years of experience, and most of that was working from home. And I know there are many people that are working from home for the very first time. So we're going to share our do's and don'ts of working from home. The following week is the 3 Secrets to Creating Magical Relationships with Jeannie Goodwin. And then the week after that, which is May 19th, it's the Science and Art of Music Therapy with Johnny Proby.
Another way to get to your subconscious mind.
Absolutely.
Yes, and Johnny is, she is an expert in that area, and so it's going to be really exciting to hear from her.
Now, I'll be watching that.
Yeah, for sure.
Please.
Yes, and definitely. Pearl, is there anything else you'd like to share before we close this evening?
Well, I think I want to have this last quote with about what we experienced today.
Yes.
And it's from late Dale Carnegie. Most of the important things in the world have been accomplished by people who have kept on trying when there seemed no hope at all.
Yes.
So with that in mind, we want to thank you very much, viewers, and thank you again, Cherise, for joining us.
I so appreciate you having me.
Our pleasure. So take care, viewers, and stay safe. Be well until next time.
Until next time. Next Tuesday.
Yes, same time.
Same bat channel.
All right, hang on 1 second.